For hundreds of years, people in Japan have loved shiitake mushrooms. These mushrooms are not just any ordinary fungi, they hold a special place in the hearts and kitchens of many Japanese families. The tradition of foraging and cultivating shiitake mushrooms has been passed down through generations, making it an integral part of Japanese heritage. They're a yummy food you can find growing in forests. The sight of shiitake mushrooms sprouting from decaying logs is a common yet enchanting scene in the dense, misty forests of Japan. These mushrooms thrive in the moist, shaded environment, drawing nutrients from the rich forest floor. Their strong, savory taste and chewy texture make them a special ingredient. In Japanese cuisine, shiitake mushrooms are celebrated for their umami flavor, which adds depth and richness to a variety of dishes. From soups and stews to stir-fries and sushi, shiitake mushrooms are a versatile ingredient that enhances the taste of any meal. But shiitake are more than just food. The process of growing and harvesting these mushrooms is a labor of love, requiring patience and a deep understanding of nature. Farmers carefully select the best logs, inoculate them with shiitake spores, and wait for months, sometimes years, for the mushrooms to mature. They're a big part of Japanese culture and history. Shiitake mushrooms have been featured in traditional Japanese festivals and markets for centuries. They symbolize prosperity and good fortune, and their presence in cultural events highlights their importance in Japanese society. People in Japan feel connected to mushrooms in a way that goes beyond just eating. Foraging for shiitake mushrooms is often a family activity, bringing generations together in the forest. This connection to nature and to each other is a cherished aspect of Japanese life. Mushrooms represent the gifts of the forest and how all living things are connected. The forest is a living, breathing entity, and shiitake mushrooms are a testament to its bounty. They remind us of the delicate balance of the ecosystem and the interdependence of all living things. Growing shiitake is a way of life, a tradition passed down through families, showing deep respect for nature. This practice is more than just agriculture. It's a way of honoring the earth and preserving a cultural legacy. Each family that cultivates shiitake mushrooms contributes to a tradition that has been nurtured for centuries, ensuring that the bond between people and nature remains strong. The forests of Japan are perfect for growing shiitake mushrooms. These forests have been home to shiitake mushrooms for centuries, providing the ideal conditions for their growth. The unique combination of climate, flora, and fauna creates a harmonious environment where shiitake mushrooms can thrive naturally. These forests have lots of different plants and animals, and the weather is just right. The biodiversity in these forests is astounding, with countless species of plants and animals coexisting. This rich ecosystem not only supports the growth of shiitake mushrooms, but also ensures a balanced environment where each organism plays a crucial role. The mild temperatures and consistent humidity levels are particularly favorable for shiitake mushrooms, allowing them to flourish throughout the year. Tall trees, mostly oak and chestnut, make a roof that filters the sunlight. These towering trees create a canopy that provides just the right amount of shade, protecting the delicate mushrooms from direct sunlight. The filtered light that reaches the forest floor is perfect for the growth of shiitake mushrooms, as it mimics the dappled light conditions they would naturally experience. The oak and chestnut trees also play a vital role in maintaining the forest's health, contributing to the nutrient cycle and supporting other plant and animal life. This makes shady spots on the forest floor, which is great for growing shiitake. The shaded areas provide a cool and moist environment, which is essential for the mushroom's development. Shiitake mushrooms prefer these conditions as they help retain moisture and prevent the forest floor from drying out. The shade also protects the mushrooms from extreme temperature fluctuations, ensuring a stable environment for their growth. The ground is covered with old leaves and other stuff that's breaking down. This layer of decomposing organic matter is rich in nutrients, providing a fertile substrate for the shiitake mushrooms to grow. The decaying leaves and plant material release essential nutrients into the soil, which are then absorbed by the mushrooms. This natural process of decomposition and nutrient cycling is crucial for maintaining the health and productivity of the forest ecosystem. This gives the shiitake lots of food to grow. The abundance of organic matter ensures that the shiitake mushrooms have a constant supply of nutrients, allowing them to grow strong and healthy. The mushroom's mycelium, the network of fungal threads that make up the main body of the fungus, spreads through the nutrient-rich soil, breaking down organic material and absorbing nutrients. This symbiotic relationship between the mushrooms and the forest floor is a testament to the intricate balance of nature. The damp air and regular rain also help the mushrooms grow big and strong. The consistent moisture levels in the forest are vital for the shiitake mushroom's development. Rainfall provides the necessary hydration, while the damp air helps maintain the humidity levels that shiitake mushrooms need. This moist environment prevents the mushrooms from drying out and supports their growth cycle, from spore germination to mature fruiting bodies. The Japanese forest is like a natural greenhouse for these special mushrooms. The combination of the right temperature, humidity, shade, and nutrient-rich soil creates an ideal environment that mimics the conditions of a controlled greenhouse. This natural setting allows shiitake mushrooms to grow in harmony with their surroundings, benefiting from the forest's resources while contributing to the ecosystem's overall health. The Japanese forest truly provides a perfect home for shiitake mushrooms, showcasing the beauty and balance of nature. Growing shiitake isn't just farming, it's like a partnership with nature. Growers understand how everything in the forest works together. They work with the forest to help the mushrooms grow best. First, they pick the right logs, usually from oak or chestnut trees. They cut these logs in winter when the trees are sleeping and full of nutrients. Then they put tiny pieces of shiitake, called spawn, into the logs. This spawn grows inside the log, eating the wood and making mushrooms. The logs with the shiitake spawn are put in shady parts of the forest, just like where they would grow naturally. This method mimics the natural habitat of shiitake mushrooms, which thrive in the cool, damp, and shaded areas of the forest. By placing the logs in these conditions, growers ensure that the mushrooms have the best possible environment to flourish. The forest provides a perfect balance of shade and moisture, which are crucial for the growth of shiitake mushrooms. The logs are carefully selected and prepared before being inoculated with the shiitake spawn. This involves drilling holes into the logs and inserting the spawn, which will eventually colonize the wood and produce mushrooms. The process requires a deep understanding of the forest ecosystem and the specific needs of the shiitake mushrooms. Growers must be patient, as it can take several months for the mushrooms to start appearing. The logs are stacked carefully so air can move around them and they all get some sun. Proper stacking is essential to ensure that the logs receive adequate air circulation and light, which helps prevent the growth of unwanted mold and fungi. The arrangement also makes it easier for growers to monitor the logs and maintain the right conditions for mushroom growth. This traditional method of log cultivation is both an art and a science, requiring skill and experience to master. Growers water the logs regularly to keep them damp, which is what the mushrooms like. Maintaining the right level of moisture is crucial for the success of the cultivation process. Too much water can lead to rot, while too little can cause the logs to dry out and the mushrooms to stop growing. Growers must strike a delicate balance, often relying on their intuition and experience to determine the right amount of water needed. The mushrooms begin to emerge from the logs, starting as small, pin-like structures that gradually grow larger. This stage of growth is a critical time for the mushrooms, as they are vulnerable to pests and environmental changes. Growers must be vigilant, checking the logs regularly to ensure that the mushrooms are developing properly and taking action if any issues arise. This old way of growing shiitake on logs, called hodadake, has been around for a long time. The hodadake method is a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of traditional mushroom growers. It has been passed down through generations, preserving the knowledge and techniques that have been honed over centuries. This method not only produces high-quality mushrooms but also fosters a deep connection with nature and the forest environment. It takes a lot of work and patience, and you need to know how the forest works. Unlike big mushroom farms, this traditional way uses natural processes and doesn't need much help from people. The reliance on natural conditions means that growers must be attuned to the rhythms of the forest, understanding the seasonal changes and how they affect mushroom growth. This method is sustainable and environmentally friendly, as it does not rely on synthetic inputs or intensive farming practices. The knowledge required for this method is extensive, encompassing not only the biology of the mushrooms, but also the ecology of the forest. Growers must be able to identify the best tree species for cultivation, understand the impact of weather patterns, and recognize the signs of potential problems. This deep understanding of the natural world is what sets traditional log cultivation apart from more modern, industrial methods. This traditional way uses natural processes and doesn't need much help from people. It is a labor of love, requiring dedication and a deep respect for the natural world. By following these time-honored practices, growers can produce delicious, high-quality shiitake mushrooms while maintaining the health and balance of the forest ecosystem. This ancient art of log cultivation is a beautiful example of how humans can work in harmony with nature to create something truly special. Picking shiitake is tricky. You have to do it at the right time. The mushrooms are usually ready after 1 or 2 years, depending on the weather. Expert growers know when to pick them by looking at the size and shape of the mushroom tops. They carefully twist the mushrooms off the log so they don't hurt the part that grows more mushrooms. This way, the log can grow mushrooms again and again. One log can make shiitake for many years, though you get fewer mushrooms each time, but they taste just as good. In Japan, shiitake are more than just food. They're symbols of long life and good luck. Growing shiitake is seen as an art, showing how much people in Japan appreciate nature. When it's time to pick the mushrooms, communities celebrate the gifts of the forest. They have festivals and special events to honor the shiitake. Families teach their children how to grow shiitake, so this old tradition continues. Shiitake grown in Japanese forests have a special taste you can't find anywhere else. Their strong umami flavor makes lots of dishes taste better. Because they're chewy, people use them instead of meat. Shiitake are used in everything from simple fried dishes to fancy soups, and they're a common ingredient in Japanese cooking. People also dry them, then add water to use them in soups and sauces. Shiitake are great in both traditional and new recipes. The traditional way of growing shiitake is good for the environment. It uses natural resources carefully and doesn't hurt nature. The logs come from trees that need to be cut down anyway to keep the forest healthy. This way of growing shiitake doesn't need chemicals or pesticides. It even helps the forest by breaking down old wood and putting nutrients back into the soil. When you eat a shiitake mushroom from a Japanese forest, you're tasting history, care for nature, and a connection to the land. This old tradition is still alive in Japan, passed down through families who care about growing shiitake. We can support this by buying forest-grown shiitake. By understanding how special these mushrooms are, we can help keep this tradition alive and enjoy food that's good for us and good for the planet. Japanese forest-grown shiitake show us that food can be delicious and good for the world.